Alright, hello and welcome to Ben's OP Game Show, recorded live 6 p.m. Pacific Time, twitch.tv/TheGameFanatics. Usually I'm joined by someone when I'm not abandoned, left to die, all sad and alone. Which is, I used to do the show alone, so it's not that big of a deal. I keep my new setup now, which doesn't have the webcam on. I get to enjoy just being a slob. That's the best part to me. Full-on slob mode. But even with nothing else here, there's still a ton to actually talk about, so it works out for me, very selfishly. And the first of which is going to be Avengers. Even though I am going to play the Detroit footage behind Avengers, it's just how the world has to be. Like, it's just nothing I can do about that. I'm not sorry. I'm not even going to think about apologizing for that. That's crazy. So Avengers Infinity War came out last night. I watched it this morning. It was the first showing in the morning. It is the first movie I've gotten advanced tickets for, where I pre-ordered the tickets and did all that shenanigans. And you know what? I was rewatching all the movies and enjoying them and getting back into the swing of things and really appreciating all the work that went into this 10-year journey. Watching all these movies again has been a lot of fun. I'm not someone who goes to the movies a lot or is at, day one, I gotta see this, I gotta see that. That's not me at all. So I really only saw those movies once in theaters, weeks after they came out, and this would be the second time watching them. Loved a lot of them way more than I remember. Such tremendous work has been done with this, and this is the culmination of all that work. And initial thoughts when I left it. Well, first of all, holy shit, that is the fastest 2.5 hours I have ever experienced in my life. There are moments in this, I'm like, is there an hour left of this? Oh, wow. Oh, no. There's no way. Because it moves. It is constantly doing something, and there are so many characters and so many different groups doing their own little, well, I gotta go after this stone, I gotta get this stone. That's going on the whole time, and that's kind of where we get to the negatives, because not a lot happens in terms of character development or anything besides Thanos, really. Nothing besides people dying and stuff like that. Not a lot that's, oh, I remember that moment when so-and-so did this. No, I remember that moment when so-and-so punched someone else, and that was a really cool action moment. There's so many amazing action moments and team-ups and infighting and all this stuff that is exactly what you want from a Marvel movie. Just 1000%. I loved that about it. Seeing all these characters together. Seeing, especially Doctor Strange steals the show. It's so good to see him being such a dickhead badass, especially to Tony Stark. Love all that. Love seeing the Guardians mixing in. It's so nice to get the payoff from these movies. Even if I don't love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think they are too jokey for their own good. But they have that humor in here, and I think it all works. But like I said, there's really not a lot of development for a lot of these characters. They don't really do anything. This is really just a lot of fights, and that's for better or for worse. There's also a lot of CG fights. It's a lot of green screen backgrounds, and oh, this is very clearly so-and-so standing in front of a blue wall and a blue floor and a blue other wall, and that's fine. I love that. I don't mind. I love video games, so I don't mind all that. But it is kind of like there's a bunch of shapes moving around punching each other. To be fair, really cool shit, super fun, very interesting, really loved the ride. And the reason why I wanted to see it at basically the first showing on Friday morning was to avoid spoilers, and I did that. Didn't really have anything spoiled for me. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in this gameplay, zooming the camera in and out like a sociopath. Anyway, super enjoyed it. I do think it's definitely one I'd want to rewatch, want to re-see, whatever that means, re-see. But if you start looking at it and thinking about it too much, it's like, well, they didn't really do anything, and oh, they didn't do anything with this character either. So it is a tremendous achievement to have the 7,000 main characters from all these movies grouped together. It does kind of lessen the experience when they all just punch each other. You know what I mean? Like, the trailers did a great job of not showing too much off. And that's great. But the trailers also showed off really the two main talking scenes in the movie. There's so little, and half the time when people are talking, it's just going to end with them punching. And I love the fights. I feel like I'm being like really harsh on that. I love all the fighting. It's super awesome to see. That's phenomenal. No problems, no complaints there. But I do love me the political intrigue and all that you're going to get from a normal movie where they're talking and having like, well, that's doing this and that's doing that, and we get some of that at the beginning. It's peppered throughout, but by and large, this is, hey, Dude Man is here to punch things, and boy howdy does he punch things. And then there's a few jokes sprinkled in. That being said, the fact that just this even happened and it was pulled off so well deserves everything, because does it need exposition? It has 10 years of exposition. Does it need more character development when it has 19 films of character development for a lot of these people? No, this is like, what, the 10th movie Iron Man's in? That's absurd. We don't need any more from him. So as much as I would love to see more of I want to know more about Cap and Bucky and of which, like, some of these characters, they show up and they say 3 words and they fight. And that's cool. And that's fun. I think that's the way to look at this. This is not going to change cinema from a storytelling perspective itself. The whole universe is, and this film's part in all that is amazingly important. And you have to view it, you cannot view it without that context, right? And I think on that level, it's disappointing, like I've been saying, but also incredibly remarkable and super fun, super good. I guess just expect dumb fun with all these characters you've been enjoying for 10 years. And that's it. It's more Marvel. And I will say, no, I think that's a spoiler. Super good. But let's move on to the actual gameplay video that's going on in here, which is Detroit Become Human. Kind of a surprise release of this demo. Certainly came out of nowhere, in my opinion. They released something. Oh, it went gold. Here's a demo, and this is the kind of an updated version. It is an updated version of what they showed at E3 several years ago. I don't exactly remember when, because that requires my brain to work. 2 years ago, 2 E3s ago. I'm so good at social media. Oh, let me tweet this out now, you moron. And, about 6 weeks ago, I played through Heavy Rain. Again, for the second time since it came out. And then I played through Beyond Two Souls a couple weeks ago. Again, for the second time since it came out. Both games I really liked when they came out. And both games I really enjoyed again. But they have showed their age. And what excites me for Detroit not only is the coat of paint, the next-gen, air quotes, polish that we're getting with Detroit Become Human, but it's also all those lessons that seemingly, at least from this small fraction, seemingly have been learned. Heavy Rain had a lot of QTEs. It really started going overboard with, you gotta do this circle left 90 degrees, then tilt the controller, then hold R and hold square and triangle, and then press this. And it became obnoxious and goofy. And do you remember in Heavy Rain, you had to hold R2 to move? You held R2 and then moved the analog stick in a direction. That's how it worked. Do you remember? Because I remember. Because I just did it. And it's not good. That's not good, and especially the writing and some of the voice acting in Heavy Rain does not hold up and is goofy as all hell. So it was better to go into Detroit, or yeah, to Beyond Two Souls and have, oh, these are real actors, Ellen Page, Willem Dafoe, who did a great job. I do like the story in that, despite everyone complaining about it. I do like that it's told out of order. Overall, it's a little bit of goofy and kind of dumb, but so is Heavy Rain. And let's be real, it's just a fun, super unique experience. And they did something in Beyond Two Souls where they lessened the QTEs and actually changed them up a little bit too, where it was you had to follow Jodie's movement to do some of the actions, which is the weakest form. And what we got with Detroit is kind of the best of both worlds, where we're getting that presentation, the super AAA, awesome presentation, still a little goofy dialogue sometimes. They've all had that. But a return to more of the exploration, slow, methodical looking around and sleuthing that was Heavy Rain, mixed with the story gravitas of, I really enjoyed saying gravitas, Beyond Two Souls, more than I thought I would. And so getting to the demo itself, now that I've talked a circle for no fucking reason, what struck me is I was going to stream this demo. I thought it was going to be 30 minutes, maybe a little longer. And I'd play through it twice, and like, yeah, it's a short stream, whatever. The demo's 20 minutes long. It's not very long at all. But what I found was how much fun it was to replay this demo over and over. I must have played through it like 10 times, partly because I was streaming it, but partly because it showed you, and then you have to see this flowchart here in like 2 minutes, of all the possible actions you can take. And you see the branches, and it tells you, even if you're not picking those this time, you can see the other ones, see what you did before, see the outcomes. And for lack of a better term, collecting the endings of these was a ton of fun. I loved doing that. Oh, this one has Connor, the android who's taking in this other android who's gone rogue. This one has Connor failing and the girl dies. Or this one has Connor convincing the man, and then he puts her down and they shoot him, the rogue guy. Or this one has Connor sacrificing himself. Or this one, Connor pulls out a gun, threatens the guy, and the guy just shoots him in the head. Just kills Connor right there, and then jumps off the building and kills him and the girl. It's crazy. So I really, really liked seeing the different branches it can take. It seems like it's going to be one of those things where you could just pick something innocuous and it's not good, for the lack of a... I've said that too many times. Not to reference Avengers. Anyway, or the Switch, Nintendo Switch. Are they in cahoots? No. So like I was saying, you get a gun, you pull a gun on this guy. You're investigating this room, and you can kind of do these. It's like, oh, here's a dead body, and you look around the body, you find clues like, okay, he got shot in the chest. This is this guy's name. He's deceased, and then you can rebuild the situation and kind of see. And it's in a 3D wireframe, and you can look around, and you go, okay, he's coming back up from getting shot. This is his gun. Okay, let me scan that in this reproduction, then fast forward to the end of it, see where the gun lands. Now I know where the gun is. Okay, let's pick it up. In another situation, someone gets shot and, oh, they dropped their tablet. Where'd they drop the tablet? Let's rewind the thing that I'm recreating this crime scene. That's where it is. Okay, perfect. That's awesome. So much fun, so creative. I love doing that. It's exactly what you want in like a weird Minority Report nonsense. Loved that. Recreated the guy who got shot. He has the gun. I go to the gun and it says, hey, androids can't have guns, right? And so the first time I play it, I don't do it. But you pick it up and it's like, okay, things are unlocked for you. And you can, in this scenario, the final scenario right there that was just playing, you can pull the gun. And you can see that on the branch. This is the flow chart I was talking about. And you can see that in the branches, you can have the gun and not do anything with it. You just picked it up. You can tell him you have a gun if he'll ask you, which this is where the writing gets a little goofy, because only if you pick up the gun will he ask you if you have a gun. It's doesn't make any sense. But you can lie about it, still have the gun, and then if you pull it out on him, you can either pull it out at a surprising moment and kill him and save the girl, or you can pull it out and threaten. And like I said earlier, Connor gets shot and dies, and that's a playable character. Like, that's a full route of this game that might just be cut off from you. That's scary as hell, to be honest with you, in a fun way. And what was driven home in this 2 hours where I played a 20-minute demo 17 times or something was how much fun it was to keep going and do this scene. There wasn't a lot of QTE garbage to get through. Most of it's just exploring this house, gathering evidence, seeing how much evidence you need. If you went too slowly to gather the evidence, another guy gets shot, and he gets carried out of the room. And then it's the talk with the guy at the end and dealing with the repercussions of that. And I think if you build a game with a ton of these scenes, I love the theme of androids in revolt, having rights, etc. Love all that. I'm super pumped for Detroit. I had it pre-ordered already because I as much as you can complain about the origami killer and all the stupid nonsense, there's so few, I would argue almost no, games doing stuff like this. A choose your own adventure book style thing in such a deeper, more interesting way than Telltale does. Because Telltale will do this, oh, here's 2 choices. And I'm like, well, these choices are okay. And then this is what pissed me off about, not to shit all over Tales from the Borderlands again, but you'd make these choices and then they just kind of, in the next 10 minutes of the following episode, they'd kind of just resolve themselves and you'd be back to square one anyway. So why even give me that choice? These feel meaningful, and there's small choices. Taking the gun, not taking the gun. Finding out the robot's name, not finding out the name. Finding out that they had a relationship, the girl and the robot. Finding out that the father was going to replace the robot with a new thing. There's so many little variable details that's all dependent on how you play it and how you are a participant in this world. I really, really love that about it. And that's stuff that was in Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls as well. And I think that just continues on with this. And it's super good. Super good. Perfect? No. The writing, like I said, is still a little weird. There's a couple lines in here where the guy's like, oh yeah, it's with the gun line. Like, do you have a gun? No, I do not have a gun. Tell me the truth. Do you have a gun? I am telling the truth. I do not have a gun. Like, these lines are so goofy. Why are they saying everything out to a T? It's very strange, but I think that's easy to overcome because of how unique this whole style is. It doesn't have to be the best book you've ever read. It's trying something and doing something so well and so differently that I think it deserves a lot of credit. Yeah, you can shit all over the writing if you want. See, that was me. I said I had a gun and I put it away. But just the sheer mess of this web of the game deserves so much. And I know I'm going to really enjoy it. It comes out in about a month. I think almost exactly a month. I don't know how you look that up. Maybe Google. I don't know. But I definitely check out the demo. Super fun time. 20 minutes. Or you can play it for 2 hours like me. And lose my mind. Get all the endings. Which is something I never wanted to do in Heavy Rain. I never wanted to replay it. I never wanted to go back and like, oh, what happens if this happens? It's like, no, that's a lot of work. It seems like a lot of busy work. Even in Beyond Two Souls with the branches aren't as branchy. I didn't want to do that, but it's so fun, like, laid out. I think I will replay this. And just to see, like, how wild can you go? How far down the rabbit hole can you take it? Especially in this scenario, I started fucking around where I was like, oh, I'm not going to get close to him. What if I do this? What if I intentionally try to piss him off? What if I do this? And it felt more like I'm playing with the game rather than playing a game, if that makes any sense. And that was a ton of fun. A ton of fun. I'm going to let him kill him while I drink water and move on to God of War. And my dishwasher turned off. That's a fun fact. Fun fact, dishwasher. Where'd my mouse go? Oh, what a crisis we have. Boop. There we go. It's God of War. This is the footage where I am trying to play the game on hard, but I don't know what any of the buttons do, so I die a bunch of times. Like right after this too. I have gotten better at the game, and God of War is great. It's tough because now I'm doing the end game, and I think the end game kind of worlds and things that's a whole other web of spiders. Ew, that's gross. That's a gross image. Web of spiders? Good lord. But the game itself, the main plot, doing the side quests in the little hub area it gives you is probably the most well-made gaming experience to date. It's just so finely crafted. Yeah, this is me dying and failing because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's so finely tuned and crafted on so many respects. It's stunningly gorgeous in a way that it's so pretty and so well put together. You just become numb to it, and you have to kind of stop and think, like, what is, am I, oh wow, look how, whoa, look at this mountain, and look at this is crazy. The stuff I'm seeing here, this is absurd. I love how slow the beginning in here is with like these two guys, and at the end of the game it's just 30 guys throwing firebombs at you. And this simple, grounded story, mostly grounded, because there are gods running around everywhere, of you just wanting to go up this mountain, and that's it, right? And the kids also being trained along the way, like, boy, you're not ready. And seeing their growth, I really like that. It's done so well. There's a lot of talk about the whole, oh, it's in one take. It never cuts, which is kind of not true because there are a few cuts, but it's neither here nor there. This is me dying. I died at the very beginning. I'm such an idiot. The one cut thing obviously goes into the cinematics, and that's super interesting, and I loved how it was done, especially a few key moments. It's very impactful. I really like that. I like it less for the cinematics and more for just the general feel of the game, where it never feels like, oh, this is the cutscene, this is the moment. Like, you're just going on an adventure, and at any moment something can happen. There's a boss fight that you're just climbing up something, and then you get to the top of it and you're in the fight, and it's like out of nowhere, and it can only surprise you because of this moment. It can only feel like this grand uninterrupted adventure because of that camera. And I liked it so much because of the weird, like, you're getting these side quests and you're doing all these things, and you're traveling on the boat and going to different islands and doing all this sorts of nonsense, and it's never cutting away, it's never taking anything away. It just felt so natural. It felt less, it made it feel less like a game and more of just this lackadaisical experience I was having, especially once I turned it to normal mode and not hard, because I'm apparently a moron, and you should not do that when you've never played a game before and you're just flailing around like a doofus, like this doofus right here, big old doofus. And it's weird too, because there's a lot of things that happen in this game that you could consider spoilers and whatever. But there's also, it's like, oh, you saw X or you saw Y, and like, that's a spoiler. But it's really nothing. It's these collection of small moments that are super cool, super interesting, that I really enjoyed thoroughly. Especially the side quests and not the dying. I think this is a very strong open world. It's probably, this is how I thought of, and this is, people talking about this game aren't talking about this. This is one of the best 3D Legend of Zelda games ever made, which is absurd. People need to be talking about this part of it. Exploring the world and seeing where, like, oh, there's a thing over here, and if I throw the axe at that, it'll activate this puzzle, and then that moves that, and that moves this, and okay, let me do all that. It's exactly It's exactly like when you play Link to the Past and you see a rock and you can't pick up the rock. You need the bracelet, the power bracelet or whatever, to pick up the rock. It's exactly that. It's seeing the hookshot targets but not having the hookshot yet. And then it keeps giving you these abilities throughout the game. And you're going back to these areas and exploring them in such a natural, this is where the camera comes in, such a natural, fun, only found in games, very immersive experience that this oh my god, it is the best Zelda game in years to me. And I know Breath of the Wild, to me Breath of the Wild is less of a Zelda game and more just a better game. This is what I wanted from a Zelda game. For these dungeons, there's this place, like the first place you go to, one of the first big places after the game opens up, is one of the best like linear Zelda dungeons I've ever played. And like the first couple hours, yeah, sure, I really enjoyed it, etc., etc. But getting to that, seeing where the game went to there and having it all happen blew my mind. That was where the game got me. Once it starts opening up and I'm exploring on this boat, I'm going to these different islands and there's this crazy ghost man. He's like, okay, you gotta do this for me, okay. And then I'm exploring over here, solving this, pulling this lever, going into going to one of the islands, like, oh, I'm gonna set ashore here and explore around. Oh, what does this do? Oh, there's a guy over here. Oh, let me flip this switch, and if I throw this over there, I can get, okay, and then I open that bridge, and I turn this lever, it opens a giant door that in the lake, and now I go back at the lake, I go through the giant door, there's this whole other dungeon, air quotes, area with different chests and different collectibles, and a side quest over there. That's so cool and so much fun. You can miss it. And it was really, to me, a lot of these side moments, this is me learning how the axe works, that were just as good, if not better, than some of the moments in the main campaign. I think the last quarter-ish, the last maybe 3 hours of the main campaign, I wasn't a huge fan of. I feel like it just kept putting more stuff in the way of the ending because they had more stuff. There's kind of a moment where, like, okay, we're going to X, right? And then, like, oh, no, you don't. You can't go there yet. You got to do this and this and this and this. I was like, well, this just feels like busy work to get to the end. Like, I just want to get to the end. And I really enjoyed the ending, right? There's a twist, not twist, but there's a reveal at the end that is super cool and I think has a lot of meaning to it. There's other things along the way that are great. I mean, the axe is a ton of fun to use. I love the abilities you get. I love fighting the majority of the enemies with those weapons and different abilities and the equipment. I do think the equipment is too convoluted for its own good. It's kind of, and this is just maybe my personal preference, there's a lot of, I hate dealing with armor and, oh, this armor is plus 10 to strength, plus 10 to defense, plus 15 to vitality, plus 5 to cooldown. Okay, this armor's plus 9 to strength, plus 8 to defense, plus 15 to the, like, there's too many things, up and down arrows. It gets kind of up its own ass in that. And then, oh, this armor has 2 slots and you can put 2 different runes in it, and all the runes have, this rune has 3 stats that raise up, this rune has 2 stats that raise up, but they're really high. I'm like, there's so much min-maxing here. I kind of would have rathered it just been pure fighting, and maybe you get better armor or different armor, because there's, so with all that I just said, there's armor sets like this one is better defense and a little bit of attack, but this one's a lot of attack and a little bit of defense, and this one's more balanced, and this one's, it's like, but why is it all, I feel like it's just complexity for complexity's sake, and it doesn't add too much, like, it adds too much in a way that's uninteresting, especially when the game, when there's maybe 20 sets of armor, you know, so like there's 20 helmets, 20 chest pieces, not helmets actually, but 20 gauntlets, 20 waist belts, or whatever the hell it is, loincloths. It's just unnecessary to do that. And there's also a crafting system, and you know, you earn experience points and you're leveling up these skills, and I like the leveling up the skills. I like the skill tree. I just think I think the armor kind of goes overboard in a way that's it's not fun for me. The fact that I had one piece of the same armor for like the last half of the game kind of says it all. It's like there's nothing better here. I can just cruise to the end. This other stuff's kind of better, but I can't really tell because I've slotted it with 2 runes, and the runes do this, and they change the ratio so much this way that now when I compare it to other things, I got to do math in my head, and then you can upgrade these items with other materials and things. And I like doing all that stuff in games, but not when 16 different stats are affected, and then to take out runes from armor. Like if I get a new piece of armor that's better, I can't equip it yet. I got to go into the equipment, deselect the runes, and then go back to the other one, equip that, and then put the runes in that. It's just so goofy. I feel like I don't know. It's too much to be that, because it's also something that I can ignore completely. And as much as I love the combat, like when it's firing on all cylinders and you're throwing an axe, you're doing this special move, you're switching to bare hand and punching guys, doing Spartan Rage takedowns and whatever the hell. That's awesome and so much fun. And 90% of the combat encounters I thoroughly enjoyed. The boss fights, thoroughly enjoyed. I do feel there are some enemies that just aren't fun to fight. I've long time been a hater to like snipers in games, and this game does that, where especially as you get further in, where some guy will be throwing fire bombs at you. Like, well, I know he's here. There's an indicator on the screen that the firebomb guy's throwing firebombs at me. I get it. I understand. But I'm in the middle of an attack. I don't know how far away that guy is. I think he's far away. I don't know. And this guy's shooting poison at me. This guy's throwing firebombs at me. It's just not as fun as I want to just kill shit as Kratos. Kratos? No, tomato, potato. Kratos? Oh, God. As people, Norse people. It's not as fun as it is when it's just fighting normal guys that are doing normal moves, and the guy raises his sword and I block, or I counter, or I have Atreus shoot him with the arrow, which becomes super integral and just like a natural thing in the combat to start using him and his abilities, and that's super fun to see because you grow as a player using this character as they grow together. Together? No, you're not Norse, Will. I'm sorry. Pretty sure. Ow! How did I sit? That hurt. Okay. So I don't know, and I feel like I'm the only one who has complaints about this combat system, because it just. Odin is my god. I will respect that. Odin has his ravens everywhere. He's watching. The combat. See, that's the thing too. I really like the combat. I think it's done super well, but it's stuck in this weird level where when it's one-on-one slow fight, that's kind of cool. Okay. But then there's 30 guys around you. All right, this is still working. And then at certain point there's a tipping point where now it's just a mess. I have no idea what the hell's going on. 16 bombs are flying around me. I can't see. I'm on fire. And the thing that also annoyed me too was you'd get hit by something and it's like, oh wow, I got hit by that and it did 1/3 of my health. Like, holy shit, that's really bad. That's not nice. Or I'll be hit by something and it like barely does anything. It's just all over the place and you're getting hit in weird ways. The thing that also annoyed me too was these guys that do these combos, and some attacks are blockable and some aren't. But some people, he'd telegraph his attack. He's about to hit you, and you go to dodge, right? And the game's like auto tracking. If you dodge too early, the guy just auto tracks and hits you. And I understand that. Like, I get that. But the guy is locked in place, sword overhead, swinging down, and somehow I dodged half a second too early, and he's able to turn and hit me. And it just doesn't feel fun. And it strides the line between a fast Bayonetta-esque, I guess, or God of War, combat system and Dark Souls, but it has some Dark Souls-like fights, but it gets nowhere near that of being as fun or as interesting as Dark Souls because it doesn't adhere to those rules. It's just playing fast and loose. These fights towards the end and are optional. With the Valkyries, is that a spoiler? Yeah, there's Valkyries in the Norse mythology game. Shocking. Are obscene. They're not fun. They're just flat out not fun for me to do. And it's because it's like, oh, this guy's jumping around. This girl, I guess they're Valkyries, is jumping around, throwing fire at me. I can't see her half the time. I get hit once, the third of my life bar. And I'm just trying to block attacks and get hits in, and it's just not working. And it never... I killed one. I'm like, that was the first one he did. I'm never returning back to this. It just doesn't add up to me. And there's also the two unlockable kind of places you get that are optional along the way are challenge kind of areas and are neat and fun and kind of have their ups and downs, but they're not the linear nature of the story that are great moments of Zelda dungeons. Yay! They're not that, and they're not the side quests, the exploration, fun side quests. Let me get on my boat and what's this crazy dwarf dwarf king doing? What is he up to? Yeah, let me investigate that. That stuff's super fun and super cool, and I think it's hampered by these weird combat encounters with certain enemies, and not even all the time with that certain enemy. There are these weird witches that I never enjoyed fighting the entire game. I just basically have Atreus spam stun arrows at them and kind of hit them and hope for the best because it never fucking works. And if you try to fight them slow, they teleport and zoom away. Like, the combat is so fast you can't play it slow like you would a Dark Souls game. But the camera and everything doesn't really work for as fast as some of these enemies are, especially with the Valkyries and them jumping above you and you can't see them. And you're like, oh, I guess I moved the camera up. Oh, now they're dive bombing me for half my health. Great. I guess I have to do this without getting hit at all. I don't get it. At a certain point, I don't understand how to do it. And it's kind of the end game, the extra stuff I have to do. Like, I did all the side quests. I did a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of the optional challenge areas, and the other challenge area I've opened a bunch of the chests, but not all of them by any means. And they're fun to do and fun to grind on, but then you get a point where it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this stupid garbage. You made such a fun core game. It's weird to get hung up on this. I really feel like the end game extra stuff that I don't have to do, that no one's making me do, is really damaging the opinion I had of the rest of the game. Which is a shame, because it is one of the best games ever made from just a technical standpoint, from a lot of areas. And I really did like it. I really do love this game. And that's why I'm playing all the extra stuff. I want to see everything in it. I want to experience everything. There's moments in this that are incredible, and I loved seeing them. It's great. It's just, I don't think it's as good as everyone is saying because of this combat shenanigans. I don't really want to go back and do all this. I don't want to find all the ravens. That's annoying. Some of the areas are not that good to go through. Some of them are some of the best level design in gaming. Like, this is a landmark for that. It's super, like, how they warp back on themselves, and then the creative combat encounters. Some of the bosses are fantastic. It's just, there's kind of few and far between some of those, without spoiling any of it. It's weird because I mean, how many hours did I play this game? 30, maybe. How many hours are in a day? I'd say close to 30 to do the main campaign, and I did a bunch of the side quests, all the side quests. I opened up all those doors. Maybe 31 ravens or something. Right. It's just, it's something. It's definitely something. But still really good. It's definitely a game you need to play. I don't know if you need to do everything, I think you can kind of just skip it and enjoy the story and enjoy the puzzles and enjoy the side quests in the little lakey area, and not get caught up on, oh, I gotta close all the realm tears. Like, do you? Because the game gives them to you. It's like, oh, you could fight these early if you want. Like, why would I though? I get killed in one hit, and I don't think the combat is strong enough to kind of. It's so nebulous. Like, oh, I'm fighting this level 7 guy. Like, is that super dangerous to where I am? I'm level 6. The other level 7 guy wasn't bad. I killed level 8. I don't know. This is. It's just. I would have rather it have been like, no, this is just a dude. There's no levels. Maybe you get better armor. Maybe you just get more health. Like, I don't know. Because as much as I love everything else about it, I do think the breaking points are the pain points are really in my mind with this post-game, end-game content. And the rest of it was so damn good, though. So damn good. So much fun that I can kind of just separate it out and say, like, none of that shit really matters. Because that's all optional. You can straight up enjoy the entire game, the entire story, and really get to it. Oh, this is actually the perfect example. There's enemies like this troll coming up, and these ancients, like rubble golems, kind of. And the first fight I had with one of those, which was in an optional area, granted. The optional areas, I think, are fantastic. Some of the best parts of the game. Doing these side quests. They're dungeons. They're Zelda dungeons. I love them. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. You can't see me. 2 thumbs up. A fight with one of these ancients, I had no idea what I was doing. No idea how to fight this thing, which is fine. You're supposed to learn, right? But the game doesn't help you. It doesn't tell you anything, which is, again, fine. But this guy kills you in 2 hits. And I didn't know what to do. And I eventually figured out a strategy, which I don't even feel like was right. I'm just throwing an axe at his weak point. Is that right? I think so. Because I couldn't figure out any other way to do it. And I did it. He dropped some things. You throw the things at him. I was like, this is kind of lame. It almost feels like I'm being cheap. Like, that's the strategy I'm supposed to use to defeat him? Being real cheap? I can't block any of his attacks. They're super powerful. It's just weird. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. There's other, like, large armored guys that have more Dark Souls-y combat. And those are fine, but they have the same tracking problem. Where someone will do, like, a diving slash at you, and he'll do a 30-degree turn if you dodge too soon and hit you. He's diving. How is he turning? I don't know. It's weird complaints. It's weird complaints like that. And they are optional, and eventually I did figure out how to fight all the ancients and the rubble golems, as I'll call them. And I liked fighting them, but it's just I don't think it all coalesced right. Some of these enemy combinations, rather, are not fun for me to fight. And they don't feel like something I should be doing with the set of skills I have in the game. Like, some of these combat encounters feel like they're from a different game that are just plumped in here. I don't know. But I get to shoot arrows with Atreus, which is great. You get to level up his stuff. I love all that. I really do like this game. I'm coming off pretty negative. I do think it's definitely one of the best games of the year. Definitely one of the best games ever made, just in terms of a technical achievement. It's so damn good. And the side quest, like I keep saying, the side quest, exploring that open area is so much fun. I loved that. Loved that. It's once you get to the extras, to the fringes, once you're trying to complete the last 15% just for fun, right? Is where it gets to, I don't really want to do this. Like, do I need to do it? Yeah, this is annoying. I don't really want to do it. We'll see. But I'm still, I want to try and get the platinum. I want to keep playing it. Super good game. Definitely worth a play. Yeah, that's how that works. All right. Thanks for popping in for 3 seconds, will you, jerk? Okay. This is Ben's OP Game Show. Recorded live 6 p.m. Pacific Time, twitch.tv/TheGameFanatics. I have a fun time. Usually there's other people here with me, but this was a fun kind of throwback episode. A lot to talk about. Really enjoyed it. Nice to know that I can still fail in this video, and I tried to cue it up where I didn't die, and I cued it right to the point where I did die at the very beginning, so that's smart. Very good. Alright, Merry Christmas. See you next week. Probably having a God of War spoiler discussion. Maybe talking more Detroit. Who knows? This fight also doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's a little weird. This is where I started to realize like the dodging is just odd, where you have a one tap, he kind of does a juke, and then a double tap is a roll. It just doesn't quite work. I don't think it works quite right. It doesn't pick a side. It needs to pick a side, Dark Souls or God of War, and it's stuck in the middle. And it's not quite right to me. And the camera, I think, is borderline terrible at some points. Like, I don't know. You can't see my health, so you can't even see if I'm getting hit. But it's weird. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's weird.